Welcome to Meg's Motorcycle Journey, where we explore the world on two wheels. This channel will follow me on my journey to become a better rider and explore my love of all things motorcycles. So I decided to do things a little bit differently this time. I'm just going to give you a little intro here and then cut to a video of the destination that we're going to. And then cut back to some of the ride. So I thought it might be fun before it gets too cold to organize a group ride. I actually did not put the information for the ride out on my Instagram page because I didn't think that I was quite ready or experienced enough at organizing group rides to handle a whole lot of people. So I put it out on a Facebook page for Harley Riders of Maryland, and a good number of people showed up. As you could see in the beginning, I think there was 12 people plus myself, and I was fortunate enough to meet a gentleman who is acting as the road captain. His name is Steve York, and he is a very experienced rider. And when I posted that I was going to do a ride, he reached out to me and had some ideas about a good route that we could take. And he uses the app Rever, which I had never used, but now that I'm familiar with, I think I'll be using it because it had some really cool settings to allow you to pick some twisty roads. This was our group ride, and we talked a lot about a number of different things before we left. So I have ridden in groups before, not large groups. This was probably the largest group I've ever ridden in before. You can see my page that I've done rides with 3, 4, 5, 6 people. I've never done a really large group ride though. So that's on my list in the next year. I know that there's rides where, hundreds of people ride out, and that would be a cool experience, but I decided to start small. So, we discussed staying in formation, and unfortunately for a lot of the ride there, I was the second one out of the 12 other people that were there, so you don't get to see a lot of them in the footage, but it was a really beautiful ride, and because we discussed being as safe as possible and staying in a staggered formation, some of the footage on this ride is not as varied as some of my other videos, but it was a beautiful route. So I'm going to take a minute now and cut to a video that I did once we reached the destination, because that does a little bit more explaining. And then I'll cut back to a little bit more riding. So we rode up with a group today, a bunch of us, to High Rock, which is pretty cool. It's really neat sights. So we organized a group ride on a Facebook group that I'm on, and a bunch of people suggested that we come here, and it's pretty neat actually. These rocks have all this graffiti and stuff, but I've heard the view is amazing, so I will take you guys up there and give you a view. 1 second. So here we are. See some of the sights. Obviously we got a pretty good group up here.
I checked one class and they said they provided.
So it's a rough little hike all the way up here, but the view is totally worth it. Really very cool. So as I explained, I was doing things a little backwards, showing you the destination and then coming back to talk a little bit about the ride. I did that because the videos I taped at the destination sort of explained what we were doing and where we were. But for some more information, that was High Rock in Cascade, Maryland. The ride out there was absolutely beautiful. It is in the western part of Maryland. There are a lot of mountains, twisty turns. It's past the Frederick, Thurmont area. So the plan was that we were going to, as a group, ride out there and then get some lunch somewhere close by and then head back and see some covered bridges on the way back. So we did that. We went to Cascade High Rock, obviously, and at the end I've got a bunch more cool pictures that I'll share with you guys of that destination, which was really neat. Some people are upset about the graffiti, but I actually think it kind of adds character. One of my best friends is an artist, and she does murals, and I've been friends with her since we were very young, and she is in Texas now and does some pretty amazing artwork that some people might consider graffiti, but I feel like it's really changed my view on some of that. She doesn't do it in illegal spots, but she's been to places that are meant for graffiti, like graffiti parks, and she does amazing art. So it's changed my view a little bit. I still obviously don't think that it is okay to break the law as an attorney, but I do think that some graffiti artists are truly talented. So I actually think that it adds character. We did settle on a place to eat after that. We actually went to Blondie's, which I think is a fairly popular biker destination, but it is right over the Pennsylvania line. So I have a little bit of footage from that and some photos, but I'm actually going to split that part of the ride up into another video because I have so much footage. And so that will actually document our ride from High Rock in Cascade to Blondie's, which is in PA, Pennsylvania, and then our ride home from there, back to our meeting point in Maryland. Unfortunately, my camera died before I got to the covered bridges, so I don't have any footage of that. Speaking of, I was wondering if anyone has experience with any sort of extended battery life GoPro cameras. I'm not sure if the issue is that I'm just using a battery that came with it, but I have two batteries and none of them seem to last me longer than about 45 minutes. So I don't know if anybody has any suggestions for extending my battery life, because that has been an issue on some of my longer trips. I also want to thank all of you who have offered me so many good suggestions to all of my questions regarding bike parts and gear. You guys have been so helpful and given me a ton of things to research and look into. And I certainly plan on taking some of your suggestions. I also appreciate the comments on my attire. Those of you that have commented on my video of me in a t-shirt that I need to cover up because you're concerned about my safety, I appreciate your concern. And those of you that have expressed support in doing whatever I would like, I appreciate the comments as well. I actually try to change my outfit every time that I go to a different place, which I know is a girly fashionista type of thing. But I really enjoy fashion almost as much as I enjoy riding a motorcycle, but not quite. So I appreciate the comments on my attire. I have gotten a lot of comments on my pants because I have the red and the black leather pants, which I mentioned in another video I got on Amazon. But I'm interested in getting a pair of chaps. I've had a couple suggestions for some good companies that make them, but if any of you have any helpful suggestions on a good pair, I haven't tried any on, so I want to do that fairly soon. And I might try to do an episode on my bike gear and where I got it. As some of you probably have noticed, I did get a new helmet. It is a badass helmet. I'm not saying that it's badass. That's actually the name of the brand of the helmet. And it came with real Swarovski crystals, so you can sort of see it reflecting off. So that's what you see, sort of sparkling. I can't decide if I like that or my rose helmet better. But I will say I really do like the Badass brand. So if any of you are in the market for a helmet, I was very pleased with that. I am still debating what I'm going to do about pipes. I've had a lot of helpful suggestions. And I do plan to try to have that done sometime this winter, because if I have to give up my bike for a few weeks, I'd rather do it during the cold weather season. Something that was also cool about this ride is that there were a number of other ladies there. So the road captain, as I mentioned, Steve, was very practiced at all of the signals, and his wife was with him riding on the back, and there was another female rider with us in the group. So that was kind of fun, because the only female I've ridden with prior to this is my cousin. As I mentioned, she's ridden for years, and I do love riding with her. She just sold her Sportster and is in the market for a new to her bike. So she's checking out various options. She was looking at the Harley-Davidson Softail Slim and the Street Bob. Do any of you have either of those bikes, and do you like them? Let me know in the comments what are some of the pros and cons of both bikes, and I will pass that information along to her. And I will keep you guys updated on what she ends up doing. So I have actually taped some additional footage for a couple of upcoming videos. So I have some pretty cool things in the mix, as well as a couple of collaborations with some other moto vloggers. So I'm going to potentially be sharing that with you in the coming weeks. But as promised, I wanted to show you guys some of the photos from when we actually arrived at High Rock. So here are a number of the photos. And I would highly recommend anybody in the area giving it a try and stopping by. So as I was talking about earlier, I'm going to actually do a part 2 to this video, which is our ride to Blondie's and then our ride home. So you'll have to tune in next time to see the second part of this video. Until then, ride safe and don't forget to go ahead and like and subscribe. Thanks for following along.